Hi, everybody. Today we're talking about tracking your progress, why it's important, why you should be doing it, and if you should be doing it. I want to start off this presentation slash podcast by quoting Peter Drucker, who I believe originally said, "What gets measured gets done." He was an entrepreneur and kind of a business guy, but what that kind of translates and correlates to in the fitness industry, what we often hear is what gets tracked gets improved. About me, my name is John Brown, the owner and founder of Empirical Fitness. We're based out of Austin, Texas, but we do virtual stuff everywhere and have clients everywhere. I'm also the founder of Legion of Nerds Lift Weights. It's a Facebook group, and in there, I get to live out my not say nerdy fantasy, nerdy dreams by helping other nerds like get results. I do this by going live once a week and having various discussions about different things you can do to help yourself get results as far as fat loss, muscle gain, just upgrading your physique for cosplay, anything of that nature. So if you're a nerd and you want to learn those things, definitely hop in my Facebook group. I think you'll enjoy it. We have here my socials, my email, different ways to contact me. So hit me up if you would like and or follow me on my platforms. So why should we be tracking progress? So these three things right here, these three factors, progress, motivation, and discipline, are really important for results in general. Progress feeds into motivation, and motivation helps maintain discipline. So if any one of these things is disrupted, then we're probably not going to get the results we want to get. So, for example, progress. I'm trying to drop down to let's say 10% body fat because my abs will show at that aesthetic, right? So as long as I'm seeing weekly drops in weight, and I'm working out, the weight drops that I'll be having is primarily going to be from fat. So doing that means I'm moving in the direction towards my goal. So even though it's hard, it's motivating. I'm like, I'm moving towards my goal. I'm going to reach my goal. That progress feeds into my motivation. Motivation helps maintain discipline. For example, I don't usually, if I'm going out, I usually try not to, I'll eat beforehand or I'll try not to do a bunch of crazy, like eating under crazy habits when I'm out because not because like you can't get results with that, but I usually have to have more wiggle room for those kind of calories. They put like extra butter, sauces, and things on the food, makes it harder to get gains. So, with that in mind, we have progress, motivation, discipline. That motivation of being thrown off my goal would detract from my discipline to say no when I'm out with my friends or from going to the movies and I want popcorn, right? So, as long as I'm having progress, I stay motivated and I maintain my discipline. If I no longer see progress, my motivation to keep up my discipline is also going to fall. The floor is going to fall from underneath me, and I'm just not going to get the results. Progress tracking is important if you want to get results. If you're happy with where you're at, if you're like some people call it stagnation, I feel like stagnation is like a negative meaning. We can call it maintenance. If you're happy with where you're at, maintaining where you're at is fine. But if you want to keep seeing results, I highly recommend you track because once again, progress will feed your motivation and helps maintain your discipline. Uh, and once again, discipline is the thing that the people who seem the most disciplined use the least of it. Essentially, they have the most wiggle room in their stuff. They feel good about their progress and what they're doing, and they stay motivated. Why track progress part two? So tracking really creates like a form of accountability. This is one of my rowing buddies, JT, and me. We won first place in a double at regatta at a head race, and he helped keep me accountable. We like were pushing each other. We were going hard, and that's where we were able to get results. And obviously, there's a photo of me on the left rowing as well because we row. But yeah, JT helped keep me accountable. We were pushing each other, and that's a good part of why we saw the progress we did and why we were able to walk away with some gold medals. Kind of badass. Plan adjustment alteration. So if you're not seeing progress, you can take action to make progress. So for example, if the calories that you're currently at are not helping you see fat loss or weight loss, then you need to adjust your calories so you could resume fat loss or weight loss. If your current lifting routine is not helping you gain muscle, then you could change your lifting routine in order to help you gain muscle, right? There's different ways to track whether or not you're gaining muscle and or fat loss and or percent body fat, which we'll go over later. This comes really important if you have a deadline or time limit. So like for me, for rowing, I have races. That's a deadline. That's a time limit. I want to be this speed or this fast before entering that race. So we walk away with hardware. If I'm not that speed or if I'm not that fast, I'm not going to walk away with hardware, then once again, my discipline will falter and because my motivation is gone because I'm not going to win, which means progress is then gone. So that these are good reasons also to track progress as far as like athletic performance is concerned. It creates a form of accountability for you. You get to adjust your plan or alter it in a way that helps you see continued success. And of course, if you have a deadline or time limit, you can adjust on the fly to make sure you keep heading in that direction. So, different ways to track progress. So, most people are interested in, wow, big changes, big like something happened. Before and afters are really good with that. But keep in mind, before and afters only work well if you have like a major transformation. If you were 200 pounds, if you're 220 pounds and you lost 10 pounds, that before and after is not going to be that noticeable. If you're 300 pounds and dropped 80 pounds, 300 to 220, that's going to be a big change. That'll change everything, right? So before and after pictures are cool if you know that you're able to lose a certain amount of weight, achieve your aesthetic, and you're kind of seeing progress in that direction. The before and after can be a great motivator. Like do it for your after, essentially. Like this was your before. You can look at your before and be like, I want to see my after. I want to get here. So before and afters can be a really cool thing, but remember those aren't for everybody. Once again, the more weight you have to lose, the better your before and after will be. Like my before and after in earlier, that was in the progress and motivation photo. My that was my 90-day transformation. I lost probably like 45 to 50 pounds for that. At my heaviest, I was like 240 something. At the leanest, I was like 200 or like 199, right? So I lost a lot of weight and I got really lean as far as my body fat percentage was concerned. The scale is a good way to track progress because as long as the scale is going in the direction that you want, you are winning. Um, Whenever we're trying to lose weight, you have to be in a caloric deficit, and the majority of the weight that we lose will come from fat as long as we're lifting and we're eating enough protein and training hard enough, essentially. So train hard enough, eat enough protein, obviously get some sleep and stay healthy and whatnot. But yeah, as long as the scales move in the direction that you want, you're most likely going to get the result that you want, which is uh, fat loss and or better body fat percentage. Body measurements. Body measurements really cool because once again, for some people the scale is the enemy. They've been on the scale for too long. They don't have good associations with it. They're not happy when they use it. It becomes a sense of like anxiety. And once again, all these things are tools, but some people just have negative feelings towards certain tools, and that's okay. So just pick a tool that works for you. Body measurements might work for you if the scale's been your enemy. So that's a good one to use. Body fat percentage is another good one to use. Now, granted, you have to know your weight in order to figure out your body fat percentage, like whether or not you use calipers or DEXA or anything of that nature. So it's important that you, whoever's taking your body fat percentage, you might ask them for to assist you. Like you step on a scale, you close your eyes, they see your weight, they don't tell you, they do the calculations for you, so on and so forth. Now, not all these tools are, I would say, are created equal or can be used equally. Before and afters, once again, I think it's really good at the beginning for a tracking thing at the beginning of your journey or of either a calorie deficit or the start of like your muscle building phase and towards the end because you will see the most amount of significant results over the course of like 60 to 90 days or 3 months as far as like the results you're trying to get. So take one before, take one after, and you might want to take one at the end of every week just because you can that way you can kind of say like, oh wow, you can swipe through your phone or whatever tracker you're using to post your photos and you kind of see like the micro changes till you get the big change at the end. But day to day, or sorry, both day to day and week to week, you won't see very big changes in your before and after, and that's okay. The scale is my favorite tool because it can be used with the most amount of frequency, which means it gives me the most amount of data, and I'm a data junkie. Yes, the scale does fluctuate. And if you track your weight on the scale every day, you'll learn why. My scale fluctuates upwards if I don't sleep well. My scale fluctuates if I have too much salt before bed, how much water I drink before bed, when I stopped eating during the day. Like there's a whole bunch of reasons why the scale would be different or not trend the way I want it to. And I know that because I track myself every day. I track everything as far as my weight, like every day. Body measurements are a tool that I think you can use weekly, and so is body fat percentage. Pick a pick a day once a week in the morning that you can essentially do on the same conditions. That would be a good time to both take your body measurements or your body fat percentage. Doing it day to day, there are way too many fluctuations for that to be like this consistent thing. So once again, highly recommend the scale for your daily tracking, body measurements or body fat for kind of some weekly stuff, and then of course for like a long-term trackable, your before and your after. Performance tracking. So there are different ways to track performance based off whatever your goals are. You have strength, which is like maximal load lifted. How heavy is your deadlift? How heavy your squat? How heavy is your bench press? Squat, bench, dip. Yeah, and granted, those are just big three compound movements that people enjoy the most. Some people might want to know how heavy their single arm dumbbell curl is. They're obsessed with their bicep strength, and that's a thing. Assess it, track it. And once again, your programming phases could last anywhere between 4 to 16, even like 24 weeks, really, depending on how you do your program and what you expect and how often you're lifting, frequency, intensity, yada yada yada. But your maximal load lifted is a good thing to track, and you can pretty much check that like once a month. I usually wouldn't check once a month. I would go like every 6 to 8 weeks personally, but like you wouldn't be wrong for doing it once a month, or you wouldn't be too far off, especially if like you're a newbie lifter. Power, you can have like a max height, uh, broad jump. You can have like a throw. You can do certain lifts, like a power clean might be a good way to assess power if you're an Olympic lifter, so on and so forth. So once again, that's strength, that's power, speed, 4 yard dash, 100 meter. Now, granted, you can also there are other ways to check speed, right? So definitely, both of those are sprints. The mile, not for me because I'm not gonna run a mile very quickly, but the mile is still considered very much so a sprint. The 1600 meters. So like that could be a speed factor if whatever your goals, wants, your needs, or and desires are. If they require more speed or more slightly like the longer end of speed or sprint training, so be it. Track it like that. But speed, a good way for most people. 40 yard dash, 100 meters. Endurance could be more like your 10K run, which is like your 6 mile. Like I'm not a half marathon runner. I might do one day, but a full marathon is nuts. I have too many friends who ask me to do a marathon, and I think they have too many screws loose. But I've got a client who's doing a half marathon in February, so shout out to Kyle Bacon. But yeah, these are performance tracking metrics that probably should be looking at like once again every 4, 6 to 24 weeks or whatever. Doing that can make sure that once again you're aligning with your goal, especially if you have most people who are obsessed with performance tracking, have deadlines, goals, or competition that they're trying to be and perform a certain level at by that time. But yeah, these are different ways you can track. Those are different options you have to track. Just pick your implement or testing strategy. For example, if you're testing your max height before you start your new training plan, do not finish with a max broad jump. Those are different metrics. Your max broad jump tests more horizontal transfer versus like your max height tests more vertical, right? And like though your training plan might improve both, depending on what you're training and how you're training it, your ability to see progress, like if you didn't see the progress on your max height, like you might fall off. You might not care. Like you obviously you can test both and keep both, but make sure whatever your test is the first time, the beginning of your plan is what you test the last time. Like don't test your 40 yard dash and then your 100 meter. Keep it the same throughout, just like we talked about with regular like measurements. When taking measurements, you want to be consistent. Day, time, or whatever condition. So, for example, let's say you're a Saturday tester. So every Saturday you want to wake up. Let's say you wake up, you use the bathroom, and then you check your body fat measurements, or you check your body measurements or your body fat percentage, right? Because once again, you can use a scale every day. And if you use a scale every day, you want to make sure it's same conditions. You don't have any water, wake up, use the bathroom, do that. You want to keep records. So track, you do it with photos. You can take, once again, photos week to week as far as like how we're doing it, or if you want, you just take a photo of the scale or write the number on the scale down as far as like your weight. Sorry. Keep records, whether it be daily or monthly or weekly, anywhere between that thing. But make sure you keep a record because once again, that's how you know you're making progress. Benchmarks. You have tests or prereqs. For example, for me, I compete in rowing and I'm trying to get back into it. Currently, my benchmark test is a 6K. And so the I did a 6K like 2 weeks ago and I improved by like 8 seconds. So definitely wanted better based off what my training was looking like, but I didn't get better. That just is what it is. Well, technically I got better, but I didn't get better to the degree that I wanted. But I figured because we were tracking progress, we figured out why. The workouts that I were doing, my heart rate was too high, so I wasn't training the zones that I needed to train in order to get results. To get the result I was looking for. In rowing, we have different training zones like you do in every other sport, but we refer to them differently. UT1, UT2, 1, AT, TR, short and long, and then AN, like complete anaerobic. What one of the workouts that should have been training my AT, which is a lower heart rate zone, was actually training my TR, which is a higher heart rate zone. So my TR is my ability to tolerate like higher intensity activities and exercises, and I can maintain a very high intensity. But even though I can maintain that high intensity, I can work at a specific intensity for very long. What was missing was my ability to tolerate lactate, which is my anaerobic threshold. Essentially, because I couldn't tolerate lactate very well, even though training at my max intensity, my body did not like to have that much lactate in my system, so I couldn't really push beyond how I wanted to push. But yes, you should have benchmarks and prereqs if performance is what you're looking for. Um, you can also rotate your tracking tools. For example, once a month or once a week, I'll track like my body fat percentage from once a week to once a month. I could throw out body fat percentage and instead use body measurements and take like a measuring tape and measure myself. Right? Like you can alternate your tools at any point in time as long as you just retest under the same conditions and you'll keep that data and it'll be helpful to you and it'll help you make progress, which helps you keep your motivation, which once again maintains your discipline. And that's how you get results. Some key takeaways I want you to have from this podcast episode. Uh, Progress tracking has a multitude of benefits. A lot of which we discussed here, some of which we didn't. Even so, track your progress so you can get these results. Tracking can be done for athletes and general population, meaning it doesn't matter who you are, as long as you're tracking, I think you get results. For example, I've been trying to get my dad to track his calories so he get results for 5 years. He won't do it, and that's okay. Sad is what it is. But I think he could get results and live a healthier life if he tracked, and that's just Gen Pop. Um, Tracking progress also sets you up for success. Once again, whether it be victory or whatnot. Like imagine Imagine not knowing how you're going to perform on game day as an athlete. Imagine trying to lose weight, essentially busting your butt in the gym, and not knowing whether or not that's paying off. That sucks. So you want to be set up for success. And to do that, you should track. Nutrition coaching. Speaking of tracking, one of the ways that I help people get results is via calorie tracking. Um, because your calories dictate the direction you're going to go. So, for example, if you're eating in a caloric surplus, which is you're eating more food than you can burn, that's going to make you gain weight. If you're eating in a caloric deficit, you're you're burning more food than or more calories than you're taking in, you're going to lose weight. And once again, if we lose weight and we're working out, we get enough protein, it's mainly going to be from fat. These are just a couple of my nutrition clients that have left me some reviews I thought were pretty cool. And feel free to pause here and read them if you're watching this like via video. But I'll read one of them off by Promise, who's out of Started working with John after meeting him at DreamCon 2023. He's really personable. He uses science-based fitness practices. I was also doing some fitness program for him too before. He taught me a lot. I'll recommend him to anyone who wants to learn how to lose weight in a very healthy way. Thanks, Promise. You're the best. So, if you're interested in nutrition coaching, if fat loss or weight loss are two things that are on your bingo bucket list for 2026, here's the link to the interest form. I'll also put it in the description of this video, where you can fill that out. And sorry, I got phone fell out of my pocket. Where you can fill out that form and essentially like register to work with my team to help you get results. Also, if you just want to email me, my email's there too, and that's our website. So, hope to hear from you. Once again, thank you for listening to this podcast episode. I hope if you took away anything from this, is that you should be tracking something, if not anything. And yeah, get you some results. Yeah, guys. Thank you for all who listened to this podcast episode. I hope to see you guys on the next one. Ooh, and always, I think as we're getting deep into this podcast journey, I think we're going to settle on Quadcast because I think a couple people said they really like that name. If you think you have a better name for my podcast, throw it in the comments, and I will be happy to hear it. But yeah, we'll see you guys in the next episode.